I'm recording this, and I'm going to then put it into my Facebook group as well. So just so you all know, and we're not recording you, obviously, we're recording us. First question. Can you find questions? How
I've
can
actually screenshot. I've done quite a lot of screenshots.
I
Um,
have? What I want to do is, so I suppose I should have done this before to kind of like introduce myself. My name's Ricky. I have worked in the fitness industry since 2002, been a personal trainer that whole time. I've taught classes for about half that time since like 2010. Um, Done a lot of work probably in the last 5 years working specifically with group fitness professionals and group fitness participants, helping them with their fitness journeys. And I'm probably quite good, well known at Les Mills stuff, like teaching Les Mills classes. It's how Emma and I met. I do the body pump quite well. I'm okay at CX Works and the grit. I'm still there. I'm still there.
I'm the good photographer and filmer of the kilos.
Yeah. Yeah, true story. True story. Right. So, Belfast, by the way, in case anyone didn't know. Laura, so how can I stop being tempted by the fridge
That was so
and
funny.
snacks? So what I want to do is when I answer questions, I just want to be short and sharp with them, just so it's like I'm not I'm, like just waffling on needlessly. So, how can you stop being tempted by the fridge? Simple answer is you don't have thing. It's not the fridge you're being tempted by. It's the things in the fridge. So remove the things from the fridge. Don't buy them in the first place. Don't do click and collect or however you're doing the shopping right now. You don't buy them.
Nope.
And what is sometimes better and an easier thing to do and probably will complement your life a bit more, if the things that you're buying are quote unquote bad, like chocolate and milkshakes and all the rest of it, replace them with something which is quote unquote good. Yeah. So instead of buying a bottle of Coke, buy a bottle of Coke Zero, for example. So it means you can still go to the fridge because that's the habit that you're in. You're just making a better choice out of that habit. Um, what other questions have you got for me, Emma?
I will just
Go
get
on.
it up now. Um, another one from we'll go with another one from Laura to start,
Yeah.
especially during lockdown. What would you do when you feel like you've hit a complete plateau and you don't know where to come from that? Like sometimes even in
Um,
lockdown, you're probably feeling a bit like, oh, don't really know if I can do this.
I've, First and foremost, plateaus always happen in anything, especially with training. You're probably not training correctly if you don't hit a plateau every now and then. The best way to break through a plateau is to do something completely random and different, so unusual for what you're doing. Because a plateau is basically when your body, all the systems in your body, training, muscular system, cardiovascular system, skeletal system, metabolic system, all the rest of it, have just got used to what you're doing. So it's not a stress anymore. So you need to re-stress all those. That could be something simple if you've been doing M pump for a long time, to get a shock out, do a hit workout before you do M pump.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. You just need to do something completely out of the ordinary to shock the system. If you're used to training 5 hours a week, train 7 hours a week, but make those extra 2 hours hit training, a 5K run, a 10K run, whatever they might be. And then you can apply the same to the diet as well. Quite often you might do a diet and it might work, and then you try the same strategy in a while, in 6 months, and it doesn't work. It's because your body's kind of got used to it. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to give
Been there.
stress. Yeah, you need to give
I know.
stress on the dietary system, the metabolic system, and how the body burns calories. So the short answer is you need to mix things up, and the long answer is mix things up dramatically. Like if a training session scares you, double the training session and do it. That's probably what you need to do.
Yeah, I agree. Like I just said to you just before we went properly live there that I just did because obviously part of my training that you're making me do is to do CX. I don't do it because I'm scared of it. I don't do it because I find it hard.
Yeah.
I don't do it, and now I've had to kind of rethink about what I need to do, and I've just said to you there, flipping hard, and it does and that's why I don't do it, because I genuinely find it too tough, and
Yeah.
it just goes to show that that's an area that I'm not really that strong in. So it just goes to show.
And you'll probably benefit from it in like 2-3 weeks' time. You'll probably feel benefits from it.
Yeah.
Hey, Louise. Louise is watching.
Oh, is she there? Is she? I'm trying not to like jump from different topics. I'm trying to let it flow at the same time as well. But there was a good question that came from Nicola, which I think is really, really sweet, and you'll like that question. She says she can't join today, unfortunately, but she says, what would you look out for or questions to ask when you're looking for a personal trainer? This is so that I can help my mum, who's looking for a personal trainer to help her build confidence to exercise again after a bad shoulder injury. She's looking for the right type of PT. What should she do?
Great question. The first thing I would look at is their reputation. And it's really easy to find nowadays because you would just need to go onto their Instagram wall. What's a reputation? What sort of language are they using? What sort of clients are they already working with? Do they show success stories? What are their success stories? So did you say build confidence? And there was something else
to
there?
build confidence after an injury. She's a bit scared to go back to training, and she's never worked with a PT before.
Yeah. So if you were to go and look at my wall on Instagram, and you would look at all these, like, hopefully it looks quite decent and good reputation and success stories, but none of them are really about building confidence for injury rehab. You know, none of them are about that. So I probably wouldn't be ideal. There will be a PT out there like that. Feel in that if you don't, like, if you already have a PT in mind, obviously qualifications. But the nature of the fitness industry now is qualifications don't actually mean that much. The qualifications within the fitness industry don't mean that much. Look for qualifications outside of the fitness industry. Like if they have any behavioral therapy qualifications, if they've done workshops on, mindset, that sort of thing, which wouldn't be a fitness qualification. That would be what I look for. But the main thing is reputation and, skin in the game.
Yeah, that was a good question because I know you would like that one because it's quite personal to the person as well, and you do need to look for what you're looking for. It's like a lot of things that you say that you personally would not, if somebody's wanting to lean up and get on a bikini on stage, you wouldn't do that, but you know the right people who can help with that sort of goal or something like that.
I'll just pass them on.
Exactly.
I can't deal with the tan.
Oh God, Carol, where do I start with you? You wrote a whole story.
I know.
An absolute whole story.
Oh no, it was like being arrested again.
I know.
No, wait,
well, I suppose we could go. I'll go with Kirsty first because it might lead us on to quite nice way to go on it. She had asked the question of, just cardio and strength, which was the same as Carol had asked. What would you want? What would you do for the best results? But also, she asked, which I thought was quite a good question from a participant. How much is too much? As instructors are teaching 25 to 30 classes sometimes a week, but they're telling their participants 10's far too much. What's the advice on that as a participant?
Oh, brilliant question. That's very much the do as I say, not as I do mentality.
Yep.
Right, how much is too much? Let's tackle that first. Everyone is individual. Everyone has different stresses in their life. If you have a very stressful job, say you're working 50, 60 hours a week and you're trying to run a house all at the same time, the last thing you need is another 10 hours of stress on the body, because exercise is stress. That's the last thing you need. Doesn't matter what your fitness goals are, the last thing you need. Now, let's completely reverse that. Let's say right now you're not working. You have all the time in the world during the day. 10 hours a week isn't too much. Yeah. Because it's forming a different stress and a different purpose. So how much is too much is very specific to the person. I'm going through this now myself in terms of when you're increasing how much work you're doing, you need to do that strategically. So don't go from 5 hours a week. I just tend to talk in hours per week rather than sessions and classes, but I'm coming to it a bit. Don't go from 5 hours to 10 hours because you've just doubled your volume. So you want to go up in like 20%. That's accepted as being safe. Experts agree if you go up at just 25% extra hours per week, you're 90% more likely to get an injury. So if you were doing 5 hours this week and you do 7 hours next week, you've increased your chances of injury by over 90%. No, that's not to scare anyone. A lot of people can probably do that safely. It's probably more if you're going from 15 hours a week to like 20 hours a week. Like that's massive. That's more than going from 5 to 7, if you get what I mean. Then there's the almost contradicting myself is what do those 10 hours consist of? If you're doing 10 hours of high intensity interval training, it's very, very different to 10 hours of yoga, for example.
Yeah.
Completely different stresses. And then just to cover my back with, group fitness professionals, they are group fitness professionals. It is their, that's how they're earning an income. They're not there for fitness gains as such. They're doing their job. Us standing at the front of a class with a microphone on, that's the equivalent of, us sitting at a desk. That's what it's like for us. That's just us doing our job. So what we should be doing is, and we always do this, we eat, sleep, and recover as best we can for that. But any group fitness instructor teaching 25 to 30 classes a week is, what's the word I'm looking for? Is flogging their body when they
I think as well, it's quite like, I think I can say this as well, because I don't teach any HIIT classes. So say like a grit class, what the participants kind of need to remember as well as they are working to full as much as they can, whereas say for example a HIIT or a MetaFit or grit instructor, they're going to be, well, grit especially, they're going to be coaching. So what the participant needs to remember, like that 30 minutes is probably really the instructor, well, you'll know yourself, you're going all out for not that long.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy to admit, like before lockdown happened and previous, I was up to I think 4 or 5 pumps a week. 2 of those body pumps, my weights were lowered. I didn't have or 2 or 3. I had lower weights on my bar because I liked to keep my Saturday class to my big weights, feeling good Saturday class. Probably like my Monday night or my Tuesday morning, I was stripped back down, and it's like, so it's just so that participants know as an instructor also that we have to think about in our heads what we can do to look after our bodies as well. I couldn't teach 6 body pumps with 25-30 kilograms on my back for the squat track 6 times a week. Like, I
wouldn't even do that once a week.
I know, I've seen your range as well. I know.
I don't do it anymore.
Like that time that you could put 2 of them on each side.
I don't do that anymore. No.
But that's true. I just wanted to make that, just let Kirsty know as well. Like there will be times where we don't need to pull back. You absolutely need to pull back.
And there's loads of benefits to doing classes that aren't just fitness. So if you were doing 10 classes a week and group fitness instructor is saying to you, oh, that's too much, you need to do less. Well, it depends what your goals are, because you could be doing 3 of those classes as hard as you possibly can to get your fitness gains, and you're doing the other 7 for a different reason. That's how you communicate with friends, and it's maybe better to go and do a class at 60-70% intensity than go home and sit in your ass watching Netflix for 3 hours.
I agree.
So if you're in the group fitness studio more than your group fitness instructor, that's a problem. But up until then, don't worry. Like if you're doing 30 classes a week, I mean, there's probably more going wrong in your life than doing too much exercise. If you've that much time to do 30 hours exercise a week, there's probably more going wrong that we need to look at.
I'm just scrolling through to see if there's any questions came in on the actual live, but I can't see anything right now. I'll let you have a look as well if you get a chance.
Louise has asked, why are my forearms in agony after the bicep track? Great question, common question. Simple answer is because this is a smaller muscle group than this. So I'll liken it to the abs track, and then I'll come back to biceps. A lot of people would say when they're doing abs and core, their neck gets sore and their abs don't. Well, that's because your neck muscles have fatigued before your ab muscles. It's pretty much the same that's happening in here. And then what can happen in your forearm as well, it's just an area of a lot of tension, because you might be gripping and grabbing all day, never mind doing your exercise class. And then lastly, when you're doing biceps tracks, you're in that supinated position for the whole time, which is a massive stress on the brachioradialis on the outside here. So there's a chance that could just be a little bit tight. So yeah, it's just could be a little bit of tightness. More than likely, it is those smaller muscle groups are starting to fatigue.
I sometimes let people know a lot of people as well with pump and stuff like that. They are gripping. It got quite a lot to do with grip as well
Yeah.
because for some reason I try really hard to say just allow the bar to sit in your hand and
Yeah.
not, because you can actually feel it when you do that with your own hands now.
Oh,
You can feel how tense it is, and it's just, I think it's a lot
that's
to
it.
do with grip as well.
Nobody's trying to take the bar off you. You don't need to hold it that hard.
I know exactly, exactly.
If your knuckles are white after a minute of the bicep track, you're holding it too tight.
Agreed, agreed, agreed. Um, I'm going to move on to a couple of questions that Carol had brought in. Obviously, talking there is in my group there is quite a lot of the older women who are just wondering, going on to the future, like, is it like for age, does it make a difference in your body? Because if like Carol, for example, doesn't want to lose any weight,
Huh?
she's never really been into strength training, but since she joined my group, she's been doing my little strength workout that I do on a Friday night, and she now absolutely loves it and started seeing some little changes in her body. And it's just now gave her the confidence to maybe try and lift a little bit heavier in a pump class or
Hmm.
anything like that. So she was saying, as an age, it's harder to keep your shape as you grow older. Ricky wouldn't know because he's 24 and has been. Um, don't even need to ask, but is there any way we should be changing what we do as we age? Should we even be trying to tuck jump with older joints, or what's too much, or what could we focus on as we get older? But love exercise.
Let's first just look at great questions, great uh, attitude. I'm getting older. I want to look after myself. So yes, strength training. The list of benefits to strength training in the older population is pretty endless. So you're going to build more muscle, so you're less likely to be caught off. But I'm thinking really old here, by the way.
Hmm.
Um, you're less likely to fall if you do fall because you have muscle. You're less likely to hurt yourself. And secondly, strength training also has a massive effect on bone density. So you're less likely to, say, break bones again in the case that you do
And
fall.
that's really funny you said that, because on Sunday, I think I told you, the doctor said to me, "You have good bones." And I was like, but he did, and that was his honest answer. He said, I honestly thought that was fractured or broken. He says, but I can tell by looking at your x-rays that you have good bones. And I put that down to 6 years. Well, I lost a lot of weight, but 6 years of pure strength training and body pump and strength training. I totally do. I've
Do you
said that to
reckon that in the medical profession that's some sort of like flirt? You've got good bones. See this X-ray? Whew,
I don't
good
think he
bones.
was that way inclined.
Oh, really? Okay. Not
I
in the
don't.
bones. Or maybe
No.
yes, definitely in the bones. Yeah.
No.
All right. Moving on to the topic at hand.
Uh,
So yeah, strength training. Just remind me the last part of the question, so as I make sure I address it correctly.
I think there was so much of it.
It's just the last two sentences, I think.
Should
Tuck jumps.
should I even be trying to do tuck jumps with my older and more worn joints?
If you're doing them now with no complaints, keep doing them.
Hmm.
And then you can take suitable options when such time needs. So whether the squat jump becomes a straight jump, and the straight jump then becomes, a squat or whatever. Because the point is, like, we're human beings, and we're 70-80% water. What happens to water when water sits still? Like if I
Yeah.
drink that for 2-3 hours, that water's going to stagnate and it's going to go still. And that same thing happens to our body, happens to your muscles, happens to your joints. We're all spending that little bit more time sitting down and in the house and all right now. So like your hips and shoulders will all kind of glue up. So, and especially as we get older, as has already been said, so the more you can move with comfort, it's only going to benefit you long term.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of the girls in the group were just, where, like, is what I'm doing right? Because
Yeah.
as a participant, this is why I decided to do this, because a lot of people had been asking me questions, and I think it's really important for members, not just us as instructors, but for members to actually understand and have an understanding of what actually goes on to the body while they're actually taking part in these classes and what's good for them.
There's a couple of questions have come up in the live one.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're on that because I'm looking at the other questions. I'm so glad you're there.
Laura's asked, what are the best ways to deal with DOMs? Three things. The next day, you must move. If you sit around, like I said, you just get sticky and you just get glue up. So you must move. Water. And well, I don't want to go into this too much. Is you're going to just need to make sure you hit your macros the next day and offset any depletion. I'll have to go into this.
Mhm.
So if you've got dawn, say you did a 90-minute run or 90 minute of cardio the day before, your muscles are going to be massively depleted in glycogen, carbohydrates. So the next day you want to make sure you have carbohydrates to refill. Let's just say you've done from a really heavy 30-minute strength section.
Yep.
You want to be focusing on protein the next day. Just two nice general rules. Yeah, so the biggest thing, that all being said, don't let that like put you off or anything. The biggest thing for DOMs is just get up and move.
Yeah.
Like if your legs are killing you from, the M pump and the strength section, the last thing you're going to want to do the next day is walk, but it's going to be the best thing you could do is just walk.
Yeah. How did you feel that day that you did your first marathon? I remember you finishing that marathon, Ricky Long, and you couldn't walk. And I think you did this. Yeah, I think you did the same the next day.
It's behind that, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do a marathon the next day.
No, I mean I think you got up and you went out, didn't you? You went for a walk.
Yeah, like that's
because you couldn't walk. That brings us on to another message, kind of what Carol had said and Kirsty said about nutrition and how much does what you eat impact on the results you want to achieve? Are there really superfoods in terms of what you can achieve by eating certain things? Do you really need to follow a carb, fat, protein percentage if you're eating a healthy, balanced diet? Supplements, do you have to have them? Would you have them? And are they worth it? I know this is his question. Speciality, and I know what he's going to go with.
The pyramid.
No, I was actually going to go for something about
the hand job diet.
The hand job diet.
I'll come to that. All right. So the first question: how much does that nutrition matter? 80% is kind of the rule of thumb. It's 80% what you do in the kitchen, 20% what you do in the gym. It's just a nice rule of thumb. What was the next question? I kind of want to do it in order.
I'll try and put it as, are there really superfoods in terms of what you can achieve by eating certain things?
It depends what is meant by superfoods. A superfood, in my opinion, is leafy greens because there's so much fiber, vitamins and minerals in leafy greens, and they're probably the last thing that could, to go on a plate, and this should be the first thing. I consider like oily fish is a superfood as well because of it. People see meat and fish and think protein, but there's actually so much else in fish compared to other as well. So are there superfoods? It depends what you mean by superfoods. I think a lot of people, it's kind of like if you eat this food, it speeds up your metabolism and all that.
Carol, even if you pop it in the box, what you're thinking, and you can, put it to that.
There are certain foods which can have an impact on your metabolism, but not enough to burn off a 300 calorie chocolate bar. So don't think all of that. Next question on that one.
Do we really need to follow a carb, fat, protein percentage if you are just eating a healthy, balanced diet?
100% no. Right, so pyramid, think of a triangle like that. There's 5 levels in your triangle, right? The bottom level of the triangle is your baseline. It's your foundation. That's your calorie balance. The amount of energy comes into your body, the amount of energy that goes out of your body. We get energy in by eating food. We get energy out by just being awake and being alive, and we get energy out by exercise. So you want to get your energy balance first. Then once you have your energy balance sorted, know how many calories you should eat against how many you're burning, you qualify to then look at macros. Carbs and fats, do what you like with. Focus on proteins. Okay? And the general rule of thumb is you eat 1.5 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight you are. So I'm 90 kilograms. I would eat 1.5 times that, 150, 160 grams of protein per day. That would be my protein target. If I do that, that probably works out between 35 and 40%. And that's where the percentages come to. And as long as you stay within your calorie balance and your protein is in and around that 1.5 to 2 gram mark, do what you like with carbs and fats. Literally do what you like. It can be 30% protein one day, 70% fats, and the next day it could be 70% carbs, 30% protein. Doesn't really matter. Where it does matter is you'll feel better on a general range for you. So some days you might want more fats, some days you might want more carbs. You'll function better for different tasks.
Yeah, because I think you and Lindsay are very different, aren't you? I
different.
remember this. You talking about this before? Is it Lindsay's all about carbs and your fats?
Yeah, I'm fat adapted. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just so strange.
Yeah, it's probably how. Again, not trying to go to it. There's better people than me to explain all of this, so please do look at this. A lot of it's genetics, and a lot of it's how you spend your first 10, 15 years of your life. And how I spent the first 15 years of my life, I was up out of bed, 5 a.m. I was in the pool swimming, and I didn't have breakfast until break time in school, where you get your piece. How's Scottish am I yet? 10:30. So without realizing, I didn't know this as a 10, 15-year-old, my mum didn't realize this either, is my body was being conditioned to become fat adapted. So I was used to burning fat for energy.
Yeah.
Whereas,
it's interesting.
All I have to do is I just walk down the bread aisle in Tesco's, and I just inflate.
That's like me. I do that too.
Yeah.
I do that too.
If I have a meal which is quite heavy in carbs, I tend to feel quite lethargic after it, whereas Lindsay's the opposite.
Yeah.
And if I have a meal that's quite high in fats, I feel fine, I feel good, I feel ready to go, whereas Lindsay would be the opposite. She'd be quite lethargic after that. A lot of that is just general feedback, and that's not to say, if I'm on a long run, I have Haribo in my pocket, I'm getting that glucose and sugar straight away, because think about fats, we've gone off on a tangent, fats and carbs and protein, they're essentially energy sources. That's all they are. They're energy sources. We break down carbohydrates and sugars faster than we'll break down fats and proteins. And I'm going to stop there before we go down any more of this rabbit hole.
But that was good. That was a very good answer. And it's good for people to understand, because I can see a couple of people.
Your mic's gone. Can't hear you. I'm on my own. No! Right, I'll just continue on my own. How do you shift belly? This is from Emma. How do you shift belly fat as you get older? Muscle tone is fine, but my middle has expanded. You may or may not be aware, we can't spot reduce body fat. So we can't just lose fat from a specific area. We can't choose it. General rule is first place on, last place off. What we can do, however, is spot train. So we can pay more attention to specific body parts, increase body composition, and by increase body composition, I mean increase lean muscle mass. And what lean muscle mass can do in a specific area is actually a little bit of spot reduction. So what I would say, it was Emma, is do core training, and I'm not talking about crunches and sit-ups and all of that. I'm talking about core training, yoga training, lots of body weight training as well. Have a look at your diet, because that's going to be the number one thing that affects fat storage in general, which you kind of already spoke to. And then look at, just because you've said the word expanded, look at the foods and intolerances you may have or have developed, that there could be something and that's only because you've used the word expanded. I could be wrong on that and just misinterpreted that word, but you could look at something like that. And again, because you've said older, I'm not making assumptions. As we get older, our body does change, and Sometimes you might need to take some medication. With females, you go through the menopause as well, so that can have a lot of changes in the body. So
Yeah, I think somebody asked about that, and I was like, "Oh God, how's Ricky gonna get around that?" But I can't remember. I'm sure it
I'll
was.
get around the
Sure, it was Sal.
menopause.
I'm sure it was Sal that had asked something about that as well. Just struggling,
Talk
obviously
about
with the leg.
menopause. We can talk about periods. We can talk about PCOS. We can talk about all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, you'll probably know more than me. More than me. You'll be good at
I
that.
won't go that far.
I'm just
I
trying to get it
I know
back up
some
so
of the
that I can.
science of it.
You're good. You'll probably know more than me. I'm just trying to find that question again because I'm just I'm not being rude, everybody. I am actually scrolling through just so that I can find the questions. So keep asking. Um, I'm sure. The question you didn't ask about from Carol was supplements. Do you take any?
Yes, I do take supplements. First thing I'll say with supplements, remember that foundation I told you about? The bottom layer is calories. The second layer is macros. Then it's micronutrients and minerals. Then it's meal frequency and timing.
Mhm.
And then at the very, very top, it's supplements. So that's a long way of me saying supplements kind of are your last 20%. Supplements make a bad diet worse, and supplements make a good diet better.
Yep.
Right? So the supplements I take, and remember this is just me, so don't think, oh, Ricky Long's taking this. I should take this. Oh, Ricky Long said he's taking that, and Emma said
Mhm.
she's taking that. Oh, I should take that too. It's very, very specific for you. Look at your diet first, and in some cases, especially for females, you need to consider your hormone balance as well. When you like, even for a basic multivitamin.
Mhm.
So I take multivitamins. I've only just started taking glucosamine because I'm doing a lot of running. Just helps with the joints. What else do I take? Vitamin D supplements. So I take those three in the morning, and at night I take fish oils.
Mhm.
I would recommend those for most people, provided there's no underlying health conditions. And then the other two supplements I take, I'll get about 30% of my daily protein from protein shakes. Like I said, I'm trying to hit 160, 170 grams of protein per day. That's like 4 chicken breasts. That's a lot of meat to get through. So, I'll have 3 chicken breasts and a protein shake if that's okay. And I take creatine as well. So there's a lot of good science and research about creatine. Essentially, what creatine does, your body produces creatine. It basically allows your muscle to retain water, which allows less lactic acid to go into it. It buffers lactic acid buildup, and because there's more water, it helps the supply of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, blood, all the rest of it. So it helps not just with quote unquote performance, helps with recovery as well. I would recommend people, when they're doing any sort of supplements, only do one at a time. So take multivitamin for a month. If you're not taking any, take multivitamins for a month. See how you go on it.
Mhm.
Then take glucosamine, just using mine as an example. And the common one for women to look for is iron and magnesium. Women can be deficient in iron and magnesium, which is quite common.
Good answer, mate.
I was talking about
So
me,
just,
so it
I
was
know
easy.
and I think you've probably already answered it, but I found that question for Sal, if you're quite happy to talk about it, because there's a few women probably asking the same question. As a female about to hit the menopause, why is it that weight stays in certain places no matter how hard they're working? Is it like, can they do anything about it to make themselves feel better?
Um, can they do anything about it to make them feel better? Is one, no, that's completely normal and natural. Two, strength training and doing specific strength exercises for that body part will help build lean muscle in that body part. Um, and then again, because when you're going through menopause, is your hormone levels that you've been used to for the first 30, 40, 50 years of your life, they've all just changed, and that has a knock-on effect on the rest of the body. So you might need to look, and when hormone levels change, that always affects your digestion as well. So you might suddenly become deficient in iron, magnesium, and zinc, vitamin D, and you've never been deficient in them before in your life. So it could be as simple as you need to eat more leafy greens and you'll
Yep.
feel better about things. But that's me, extreme scenario to prove a point. Be
Yeah.
okay with it. do some strength exercises, and see if there is anything you need to change in diet, nutrition, daily life. Could be a case of you now need more sleep, now you need less sleep, you now need a window open and fresh air when you sleep. That helps your temperature because that affects your hormone levels, etc., etc.
It's true. It's true. I'm just trying to see. A good one came in from Shola about rest days. How important is it to have a rest day if you are regularly exercising? Shola's also a body combat and body pump instructor. And if I was teaching in my normal time, I start to get a little bit paranoid that I don't close all the rings on my Apple Watch every day. There is a danger that, I don't know, Shola, that kind of went into two questions there. There is a danger that fitness
Your group are very good at doing that, aren't they?
I know! There is a danger that fitness apps and watts make you want to just get a bit obsessive and keep going and keep going and keep going to do more harm than good. So what are the benefits of a proper rest day, and would you have one, and what would you do?
I'm going to answer this.
It kind of went into two sneaky, Shola.
So these fitness watches and trackers and their 3 rings and whatever else they want to call them, people do become obsessive about them, and I think that is a really, really good, fantastic thing, because the nation is, generally speaking, fat, obese, and unhealthy. So it's actually good that we're all trying to close these 3 rings per day, especially now, again, the majority of us are living in some form of a lockdown life, and we're still obsessed with closing these rings. I think that's a good thing. The first part of the question, rest days. I don't think people need a rest day. I don't think people overtrain. I think people under-recover. I think elite athletes need a rest day. And somebody who's just, Kipchoge, who did the 2-hour marathon, he needs a rest day. I don't think, and even though they don't take a rest day, they have a recovery day. So on a recovery day, I'll take Emma, for example. Emma, on a Saturday, you would have done 3 classes back to back?
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd do 3 classes. On a Sunday, you might go for a walk. That's a recovery day. Yeah, so it depends on your level of intensity. Personally speaking, I haven't had a rest day since easily October. I have done exercise. I've done scheduled exercise every single day for about 150 days. And the reason why I know that is because I had a wake-up call on Sunday when I got a little calf pull when I was out running. And it's kind of like, okay, that's a little bit of feedback. An injury, a soft tissue injury, for anyone who ever gets one, that's feedback. What you have been doing, your body hasn't agreed with. So we under-recover. So look at recovery strategies.
Yeah, it's a good question, because even as instructors, we need to know as well, and participants, how much they're doing. Which leads it on to that question about her other one after that. She was talking about stretching. How much proper stretching do you do alongside your fitness regime? Should we make our rest days stretching days? Shola herself finds yoga and balance quite uncomfortable. She's tried Les Mills stretch, which is quite good. Do you have a go-to stretch relaxing program that you do?
No, I don't.
I know you don't.
I need to stretch more. We all need to stretch more. The Les Mills stretch, I've done it a few times. I do actually quite like it. Not very good.
I like it because it's really short and I don't get bored.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Stretching wise, the 5 minutes at the end of body pump or at the end of M pump doesn't cut it. Like it's nice to do, and it's nice there just to put let the heart rate come down and have that little bit of, oh, thank God the workout's over. But you've just spent 50 odd minutes making your muscles do that, and you're now spending 30 seconds stretching that muscle before you move on to another. So right, in a long answer to the question, in a recovery day, should you do a stretching, mobility-based workout? Let me explain the difference of those in just a second. The answer is probably yes, it would be beneficial. Flexibility and mobility are 2 different things. Think of it like this. Flexibility is how long you can make a muscle, right? And mobility is how you can work. How much of a muscle's range do you have strength in? Right? So let me try and explain that better again. If you're in a squat, you might be able to get the bottom of a squat, but if I put a barbell on your back, can you get back up again? So that would be mobility. So mobility is strength through a range, and flexibility is just the range of the muscle.
Yep.
Yeah. So I can if I stretch a little bit, I can tip from the hip and I can make the palms touch the floor. But you can give me a 5 kilogram weight in each hand and tell me to stand up again. I can't do that because I don't have the mobility to do that. I have the range to get there, I just don't have the mobility to stand back up.
It's just like that simple move that you had me doing out of the stretch workout. I actually felt a lot better when I got the bar. Do you know where you hold the bar and you're just going round?
Yeah.
Like that is so simple,
Yeah.
but the difference in my shoulders just feeling warmer and getting a barbell over my head, I was like, I could feel it already.
Yeah.
Because I'd done it before, and it just shows you just like I did not move my body in that shape before, and it's totally true.
Yeah.
And I'll hold my hands up, and everybody knows that I don't do that sort of
Yeah.
stuff enough.
The truth is, most people only stretch, do flexibility and mobility when they're injured. That's the only time they'll look at doing that. Do we all need to do it more? Yes. And just to make us all feel bad, elite athletes, Olympic athletes, footballers, rugby players, they are at the top of their game and they are probably told to, but they still do a yoga session or a Pilates session 2 or 3 times a week. If it's good enough for them, what makes us think that I don't need to stretch? And I'll look up and Ronaldo is doing yoga 3 times a week.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm better than Ronaldo. I don't need to do that. Well, probably not, Rick. Get off your ego. Mate, I'm going to have to go in a couple of minutes, so let's
That's
fire
okay.
on a couple
Let's
more.
just see if there's any other.
Somebody asked about open water swimming.
Did they? Oh, he's right in there.
Yeah. Jen, any tips for getting started with outdoor swimming? Looks great fun, but a little worried about safety. Jen, are you talking about actual swimming, or are you talking about going in for the cold water immersion for 2-3 minutes and then getting out again? The answers are probably going to be the same anyway. So if you are going in, you always go in with another person, preferably somebody who's more experienced than you, especially in like your first 20 or 30. Know what the tide is doing. Have an idea of the depth of what you're getting into, and buy a tow float. Buy them for about 20-30 quid. Decathlon's probably your best bet. You can do them online. Just a little, I don't have it in here. You tie it around, it's a float about the size of a pillow. And it means if you ever get in difficulties, you can grab onto that. And if you are doing actual structured swimming, it means you could swim for 400 meters, have a rest, swim for another 400 meters, have a rest, and just hold on to it. And they're bright and keep you sane. And I would advise you to. I'd advise you to follow Wim Hof. He gives some really, really good tips about getting into the cold water, because the thing is, it's the cold water shock gets a lot of people.
Jellyfish. All I can think about is you, jellyfish.
Get the jellyfish in that Clyde.
Mind that time I go on your face.
Yeah. Yeah. Felt like I was being teabagged by a jellyfish.
Didn't need lip fillers, did you, son?
Yeah, I couldn't do that for a day. Yeah. I come up with cold water is get in and try and. It's hard. What I'm about to say is hard. Try and walk in one smooth movement. If you stop getting going with the water like on your thighs, it is so hard to get going again. And the same token, until you're experienced with cold water, don't jump in straight away, because that cold water shock literally could kill you. And then just build up your time. Be really aware hypothermia can set in within 15 to 20 minutes. And the first sign of hypothermia is when you start to feel warm, which is interesting. It's a false sense of security.
See when you come in from your swim, I see it on your Instagram quite a lot. And you are literally are you what is that feeling? What is your body doing? When you come out of the water and I've seen it on your Instagram and you're wrapped up, and I'm like, are you okay?
This sounds weird. See when you get into the sea, the sea out there right now is 5-6 degrees. the air temperature is 1 or 2 degrees. The air temperature is colder, then you get the wind chill factor, right? See, when you're in the sea, it's not cold. Because your body goes into like a shock, you just feel like a pressure. You're not cold. And by the way, just so everybody knows, I wear a wetsuit when I'm swimming for 30, 40 minutes. Now, cold water shock, all the blood in your body goes to the vital organs. Kidneys, heart, lungs, goes there. And it's when you get out, the blood starts to try to go to other places. And that's when your body realizes you're cold.
Yep.
And you start doing that. So all shivering is a stress response. We shiver to get the blood flow around the body and to heat ourselves up. So that's all that's happening. I would
full respect to you. Full respect, because I'm not good with cold.
Yeah. The hard bit is the 10 minutes before you get in, because the best way to acclimatize to the water is to stand on the side of the water. You got to acclimatize there. That's the worst bit. Once you're in, once you get out, and even those shivers, like, they're fine. It's not very cool and not very attractive and doesn't look very comfortable, but it's kind of funny.
Good. I can do it. I'm not a fan of water.
Just
but that was good.
It sounds like a nice thing to do. The worst thing you can do is get into a boiling hot shower. Don't do that. Do not do that, because you'll get pins and needles everywhere.
Amazing. Now I'm just going to say before you head off, I'm just seeing if there's any more questions coming in. But just
actual swimming.
Who said that?
Jan said actual swimming.
Just if people in my group wanted to find you, where can they find you? They can find you on my Instagram. They can find you on. You can add him if you want. His banner's all right.
Social media, just Ricky Long, 42. And you'll find me anywhere, any platform.
That's his real age as well, just so you know.
Including Clubhouse, which I still haven't used yet.
But really, I think I say it on behalf of my group and the people that come in, because it is a large lot of members that are in my group. So I think it's been really beneficial for them just to learn something. So yeah, if anybody's got any last minute things you want to say to Ricky before he goes, then pop them in. If we didn't answer everything and something pops up, just put it in the comment box and I'm sure we'll try. He's a busy man, he's got lots of places to be right now.
I'm going to fire down, in this lockdown. I'm going to fire down this very, very quickly.
What you
Carol, put in? You went through all the Carol's questions, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I've done them. I think I've done the most of them.
Questions: how can you increase breast size without surgery? Listen, if I had the answer to that, I'd be running a very, very different business.
I know. There was one from Laura which you could answer very, very quickly, because I know the answer to it and I don't know how to say it. But because we don't have the weights at home, like big heavy barbells, Laura loves to lift big heavy stuff. What can she do in her living room to make her strength session better? Very quick. You can do it quick, because it's all about the reps.
I actually did a podcast about this 2 weeks ago. You can check that out.
Yeah.
Right. So focus on what you can do, and just what you can't do. It's out of your control. And the beautiful thing about it being out of your control, everyone's in the same boat. Like, we all want to do strength training. Now, there's certain things. Did you say she has like lightweights, barbells?
She's got. I think Laura's probably got about up to 30 kilograms or something like that.
Yeah. So what we know, what science tells us, is when we're doing strength training, the benefits and results come from the fatigue. So it's not from the amount of reps, the amount of weight we lift. It comes from hitting fatigue, whether that's with 10 kilograms or 110 kilograms. So if you use the weights you have, find a way where you can hit fatigue with those weights. A really, really simple one to do, say you're doing a squat, say you want to do your legs, for example, is do a wall squat against the wall for 60 seconds, then stick the bar on your back as heavy as you can and do a set of static lunges. Because like your legs are going to elicit a strength response from that. Then you can start to leverage your body. If you're repping out like 20, 30 push-ups, no problem. Get your feet up on the sofa, get your feet up against the wall. That sort of thing. If you can get the TRX bands, like TRX are quite expensive, 170, 80 quid. There's like 20, 30, 40 pound versions on Amazon where you can just wrap around a door and you can do, like, imitate pull-ups and rows and that sort of thing. But first and foremost, It's really out of your control, short of you investing 500-600 quid on Olympic barbell set and the floor to match it. It's just not possible. So isometric training, negative training, slow release training, pre-fatigue training, superset training, compound training, giant set training are concepts you could use, and I definitely don't have time to explain all of those.
No, absolutely not. I just thought that was a good way just to finish off, because a couple of people have got into strength training and they're obviously just trying to think of ways that they can adapt in these situations. So that was a good. But no, I really appreciate it. I just see that Sal said that she's listened to your podcast the other night and she said it was very good.
It is good. Yeah.
It is good. It is good. Well, I think I see on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for just coming in and just having a chat.
It's been fun. But yeah, before I go, just in the comments box, just how good is Emma doing? Like, how amazing are all these workouts and these classes? Isn't it? Like, absolutely. Even when she's she's crutching around the house, Emma and I were able to invent a new concept, because when I was giving her things to do, I just said, like, go crutching, and she was like, what's that? I said, well, just go out crutching. I can't call it steps, because you're not really stepping, you're doing a step. But yeah, I love what you're doing. I love your group. I don't comment in your group because it's your group, but I do jump in and see the stuff you're doing. I think it's brilliant.
Oh, thanks. But I think everybody needs to know that that's down to you, which is why I wanted to invite you in, because 6 years I've probably known Ricky now, and 3 years I've been working with him as a friend. And if I had any questions about, shall I put classes online, what did Ricky say? Yes. And from that day, that was all I got. And from that day, Ricky's helped me to build that group. So, and I do really, really appreciate it, and all the work that he's doing for me now with Bert, me and Bert.
I was named the Bert.
Yeah, named it Bert. So yeah, I do really appreciate it, and I think the guys have really enjoyed tonight. So thank you so much for.
Not a problem.
Ricky's getting a puppy in February, so I'm hoping the restrictions are out and I can come and be Auntie Emma.
What do I say? Right, well, hold the phone.
Oh God, are you going to show the dog?
I don't have the most recent picture of him here.
He's ready, people.
Let me see. Emma. Funny, the girl who were the breeder is actually called Emma.
Oh really? See, it's meant to be. I'm meant to be stepmom.
Let me do that. Boom, boom.
I was auntie to begin, and then I decided that I didn't want to be an auntie. I wanted to be. What did I say that I wanted to be? Godmother. There you go.
Look at him. Look at him.
Oh, so yes, when's this little guy coming?
13th of February. We're counting the days down.
I know. I can't wait. And please post in my group the day that you get Causeway and bring him into my team, because I've got a big dog team as well. I don't know whether you've noticed.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Ricky, that's been an amazing 45, nearly an hour. So thank you so much. You're such a star.
No worries. I'll see you later. I'm going to go and get my dinner.
Me too. Oh, I'm trying to hit my 168 grams of protein that somebody's given me to fix my leg.
Yes.